Open the meeting.
American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag. Honor
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
May we pray? God, we ask for your blessings and for your help to keep everyone healthy and safe. Please give those people that are sick the strength to heal. We pray you look after our first responders and emergency personnel and keep them out of harm's way. Also, thank you, Lord, for the rain we've had gotten recently and is greatly appreciated. God, we ask you to be with each and every one of us as we move forward with every day ahead. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, if y'all notice, I kind of changed up the order on the minutes. So we are, the first agenda item is to approve the minutes from our previous Commissioners Court meeting. Was there any changes or?
No corrections or additions to the regular meeting of May 8th, 2023.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to accept to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Item 3 is to consider and or approve the county auditor's tabulated report to Commissioners Court pursuant to local government code 114.024. Sounds very official, didn't it?
Yeah, very much. That's just a tabulation of all of the receipts and disbursements that have been done for the county throughout the year as of today. And then also just the revenue and expenditure report.
And y'all should have got that email, that information.
I move to approve the county auditor's tabulated report.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Item 4 is work session to review the bills and consider and or approve payment of the bills. Nobody has any questions?
I move to accept the bills and pay as presented.
No, second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Item 6 is consider and or approve payroll. Kim, do you have anything on payroll today?
2 new employees to the county.
Okay.
You have Daryl Thompson, who is a part-time airport lineman who started on April the 27th. And then we have Kaylee De La Cruz, who is a temporary jail cook, and she started May 1st.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll.
Well, we don't really have
Oh.
payroll.
Thank you.
Yeah. Those are just updates to
Oh,
personnel. Yeah, so we're good. All right, item 7, any public comments? Did anyone sign it? No?
There's no.
All right, thank you. Item 8, we're gonna adjourn into executive session for consultation with our attorney.
sound good.
it. Read Ed. It linked the other stuff that I had. I'm trying to design my own digital.
Okay, ready? Are you ready?
So I just brought it all together, guys.
All right, we are on item number 9, which was a tabled item from our May 8th meeting to discuss and or rescind the decision regarding the petition requesting to close the county road. I'm not going to read all that. Everyone knows which road we're talking about. And at this time, we will take no action. Y'all good with that?
We need a motion for that.
Sure.
I make a motion for no action concerning respecting the roads.
I'll second it.
All right, motion second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you.
And I abstain.
And Dwight abstains, yes. All right, Item 10 is to consider and or approve any changes for the TCDRS plan assessment for 2024. Kim, do you have info for us?
Information and questions. Otherwise, all the numbers. I have a paper if you'd like.
What's the change? Oh, it's the
The elected rate.
elected rate, yeah.
So the required rate for this year to fund it is 9.51. Our elected rate is 11.55, which it's been for the past few years.
We had this discussion last year and we decided to stay at the 11.55.
That just puts us in a better position to fund the retirement. That's about all I know of the subject.
Yeah, that is correct.
What are we supposed to be talking about today?
Just whether we want to change that elected rate or keep it the same. It's my opinion to just keep it the same.
Just keep it the
The
same.
more that we keep it the same, the lower our required rate will, I believe, go down over time. Now, it looks like the funded ratio for our plan right now is 96.1%.
Okay, so
I'll make,
you want-
we just leave it the same. We don't do anything, right?
I think you probably need a motion though.
Yeah, let's just
I'll make a
motion to leave it at the 11.55.
Great.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. All right, and then item 11 is to consider and or approve new rates for the air med. They've gone up a little bit. This is for Lifestar. So I believe they were, correct me if I'm wrong, 48, but now they're going up to 65 or, oh, I didn't make my notes right. Okay, so they were 65 and they're going up to 75 per employee. So we have
For this to every employee, right?
every employee.
And how many?
It covers them and their family, right? Yeah.
And so
We have Apollo also that
I didn't,
So we have to do both?
we don't have to do any.
No, I mean, Paramed and Apollo, we have them both.
We have them both.
I didn't see the total impact on the budget like we normally do.
Well, it was 75 times 100 and how many employees we have? 120.
116.
The difference in impact would be 11. It's $10 difference.
So we give it to all employees, like whether they don't have to sign up for it, it's
Everybody
free.
signs up
Okay.
whenever they, yeah.
That's the only thing I was confused about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that
So
would,
in September, we will pay for all current employees, and then as new employees come on, we pay their prorated share for the year.
Okay.
and all I can say about what the reason we have both, I think when they offered those to us, there were areas that AirMed or Lifestar covered that Apollo didn't, and just chose to have both coverage.
Well, there's also weather stuff too, like fixed plants can get out and different
Yes.
weather than.
Then, yeah,
It's also saying if you're traveling somewhere.
yes,
That you may not be here. We're
Yeah,
possible,
that's-
So you're
yeah.
in someone else's area.
exactly. So,
I like it. I just wanted to see the full numbers, but I guess I could do the math myself.
yeah, we probably need, unless y'all have more questions, we probably need a motion to approve those new rates.
I move to approve the new rates for Air Med. And Lifestar, or Air Med.
AirMed is Lifestar. Yeah.
Couldn't read it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, item 12 is to consider and or approve rebuilding the airport house and disbursement of funds received for the house contents. So everyone should have got that information. There is a lot of information. So we received insurance proceeds of 135,686.07. If we rebuild within 2 years, we can claim the depreciation. And that's another 54,275.04. And the payment also includes 10,000 of coverage for contents.
I asked Dennis, before he left, how many times he had to actually be there and go over and do something at the airport. And he said one time. That's when somebody couldn't get the lights to come on. They
Right.
just weren't doing it right. So there's really no need to have somebody live right there. I don't think we'll be able to rebuild with what money we got, even with the 54,000. So, I mean,
Building cost over $100 square foot. So
Mm.
it's gonna cost considerably out of pocket to replace it.
yeah. So I don't think it's necessary. Lee will be 5 minutes away anyway. Talk to both of them and that's my conclusion. So, but I would like $10,000 is not gonna cover all their costs for what they lost in that house. I think I don't know if it's legal or not. I'd like to,
I wouldn't even say it.
yeah,
It's not legal.
It's not,
yeah.
The most that
Well-
we could get was
it'd be the 10,000.
A little over 10,000, right?
It's 10,000.
Oh, even?
Yeah.
I thought it said that there was more than that.
It reduced it by $10,051, but that was the excess of theirs. Because I guess the total cost of everything that they submitted was $20,051.
It was 20,051, yeah.
Well,
We're basically losing $10,051.
mhm.
They had to put renter's insurance on it or anything.
No.
No. No, that's the problem.
How much was raised on the,
I don't know.
did we not host that?
Huh?
And
It was just donated.
oh, it wasn't us hosting it? Okay.
No.
So my concern is gonna be after Lee. I mean, when we look for an airport director, are we gonna require that they move here if they're out of the territory? And then they just have to buy a house to be the director? Like, what are we?
Well, I think they're gonna have to be close. They're gonna have to live.
Live in the county.
Yeah.
I know, but just if we have, that's kind of an incentive to get somebody here. And I'm not saying build a house, but there's a hangar that, and I talked with Lee the day of the fire, we kind of went around. If we use some of those proceeds to renovate that hangar by the building and add like a little efficiency apartment in there, just to have a potential there, or if like pilots and people need to spend the night there. I mean, that could be some type of supplemental,
Well,
I think. but
I think
Liability.
I think we need to spend money on better security cameras and stuff. Especially if there's not gonna be a house out there.
We have plans to demo the ruins of the house to get it
Well, that's gonna cost.
Yeah.
That's, will be one expense.
So that's probably a safety concern.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it needs to be
Just.
picked up and dumped in the dump, so that's gonna cost. What was it the last time you did one out there? 20,000 watt? Was it $20,000 to
to demo,
clean up?
yeah, 17,000 something, yeah.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't be surprised,
What is,
even though we had the county do it.
if we, so what, I'm trying to figure out what we need to decide today, because we don't have plans for anything yet.
No.
So all
Well,
we're deciding is,
Do we want to move forward with trying to rebuild
Oh.
or say, no, we're not going to rebuild a house out there?
so we,
And
does the
also,
deliberation of what we can do later and actually happen later, right?
yeah, sure. But we also need to decide if we're going to disperse some or all of that $10,000 that the insurance gave us for contents to Lee for as,
I think the content should go to
Yeah.
the full 10,000.
okay, well, I'm going to need a motion for that.
Rebuilding.
I'll make a motion that we make sure the league gets the $10,000.
I'll second.
For contents. Okay, we have a motion and second for the $10,000 to go to Lee for contents. Any further discussion on that portion? All in favor?
Do we need a motion whether we're gonna rebuild or not rebuild? That way that's settled.
Yes,
So what's the minimum? Is if we do something like renovate a hangar to make like an efficiency apartment, that's less than $54,000, we're gonna get that back. So what's the minimum to have to rebuild to recoup depreciation?
And then you gotta rebuild the structure, so, or reasonably
Exactly.
close.
yeah, I would
I'm
think
saying,
you'd have to
like,
rebuild the
it has to be
actual,
structure. You
structure.
can't like renovate a hangar.
I don't know, what are your thoughts?
It wouldn't qualify.
Right.
I'd have to double check, but I think it's,
I'm learning something. I say, I don't know.
Right.
Don't-
I would think it would have to be to rebuild the actual structure
It would have to
to
be.
get that
you
depreciation.
receive additional payments once you repair and or replace the damaged items. So I don't know if replacing it means putting something back where in the footprint that it was, or by replacing it is putting in an apartment somewhere else on location. But I can email the insurance to get clarification.
Because if that's something we can do within that $54,000, I think it'd be stupid not to.
I don't think it's gonna qualify, but what you're wanting
Well,
to.
mine-
Well, we could, okay, since that, we don't know the answer to that, we could, if y'all want to, we can table that portion of it until we get those questions answered from the insurance company, and then I'll put it back on the agenda next time.
When would anybody ever actually want to
It says,
spend the night there?
as stated in the property coverage document, you will need to have repair or replacement completed on the same or another site within 2 years from the date of loss in order to make claim for the recoverable depreciation.
It can be on other places. But
For another side.
I heard a while back that there was a couple pilots that needed to stay over that were brought someone here to visit, and then, but they were just paid pilots. So the family went and did their visit, and then the next day they left, and
that's why we have
in the
like,
hotel.
we have vehicles. That's right, we're getting a couple
Yeah.
of vehicles at the airport,
So they
so
can go
they
to
will
the-
have
Go to the
transportation
motel.
to go downtown and get a motel room.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing that.
Yeah.
But if the proceeds are there and we're gonna recoup that. In case, we just decided as a court a couple months ago that we're gonna make our airport director live there. So now acting like it's not a big deal, we're just throwing that out. So if we have that need down the road and we can make it possible with that depreciation, which I don't think we can either, but if we can, then it's worth doing the what if that we can put in there to where we don't lose money as a county, and we do our due diligence going forward, that if there's a director out of town that wants to live there instead of buy a house, we have that option too. Because that's $54,000 leaving it on the table. If we can recoup that with that type of thing is worth at least talking about.
So if a pilot stays and we rent it to them,
That's
Well, not if the airport manager lives there.
Well,
That's up to us to decide later. I'm just saying, if we leave $54,000 on the table, when we can rebuild that and have that as an option, I think that's not doing our due diligence to just cover that base and make
were
sure
you talking about building it?
that first hangar to
The Piper?
east, that already has that office in there, being Lee, no, not the pipe.
Oh,
That first one right there when you walk out of the building to the left. It
So
already has an office in there in the backside.
is this something Lee's wanting to do?
No, there's something I mentioned and Lee said that could possibly be a good idea
Because
to at least talk about.
what I would recommend, if we have the director has a vision, then they come and give us a vision of what they would like to see with that. And so I think we just say we're not going to rebuild the house. We still get the money, right? And then if.
Well, all but
We don't
54.
recover appreciation, which is what Chris is talking about.
Yeah,
We're
just
not
trying to
gonna
get all
get
that.
that. But we don't require anybody else in this county to live on site. We don't have any other kind of arrangements for anybody else. Why is this that big a difference?
How did it change from what we talked about 6 months ago when we decided?
Because we had the option of the house
We had
there.
that then,
And
we don't have it now.
Our consideration, I think, was, do we just let it sit empty? Do we rent it to someone, or do we make our airport manager live there? And it just made sense to have our airport manager live
It's
there.
better to have it lived in than it was to sit vacant anyway, but we had that, I'd do something with it.
I'm fine with either. I know we don't need to rebuild the house, but if we're gonna leave 54,000 on the table where we can do that as an option to have. And that's free money that we can put in there just in case we need it at some point later, which
You're probably going to spend about 25,000 to remodel that.
Oh, or more.
that'd be more than that.
it'd probably be most, that's why I just,
This isn't gonna qualify for rebuilding a house.
Yeah,
They're not gonna do that.
not rebuilding, but even modifying.
Well, let's check for sure
Yeah,
with them, run that scenario by them and see if that qualifies for getting the depreciation amount. And then we can just table this.
I would
and get more
honestly like
information.
at the next meeting that Lee be here to talk about, is this ever a situation or a possibility of a pilot staying overnight? Is there any reason where there would need to be a airport, what is it, loft or whatever they're called? I'd like to hear, since I have no understanding of airport stuff, hear from the director. Because if I was department head and I had an opportunity to modify, I'd definitely be chiming in on what all we could do with that.
Do I hear a motion to table
I motion the table,
the
the
Rebuilding and-
rebuilding of,
or discussion of that?
yeah, the
Okay.
discussion of the rebuilding or extra information thereof. Therefore within.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you. All right, item 13 is to consider and or approve our budget planning calendar. I think I sent this out to everybody. Carrie and I worked on this last week, came up with these dates. This just, of course, allows her, the needed time to get all the information in and to the comptroller on or before her deadline date. So it's pretty similar to last year's calendar. So bear in mind, we may need a few special meetings. But don't look at me like that, Carrie.
The budget calendar, planning calendar for 2023.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, item 14 is to consider and or approve expenditure from Court Security Fund by Constable Precinct 2, Angelica. You got a presentation for us, and I did email this out to everyone, so they've
Okay,
had a chance to look at it.
making sure that y'all got it.
Yeah,
I'm requesting some funds out of the court security funding. Y'all have to approve it. It's for a lot of supplies that are gonna go in our courtroom. There's gonna be some trauma kit stuff, guys, that I think that we should just carry inside there just in case we ever have an active shooter situation. Yeah, and there's, I'll need to know about anything that I chose, just let me know. I explain it to you the best that I can. Also, we come up with a problem in our courtroom where whenever we're having court, people need copies of things, and I have to leave, and that's not good practice for me to be leaving my judge inside the courtroom by herself. And then it's gotten to the point where she's having to ask our secretary, well, she's kind of busy, so then the judge ends up leaving the room, which is not a good situation either. So I've requested a printer, and that goes along with the ink, and then a little stand that I'm gonna use also to put some of the equipment inside there, so it stays in the courtroom. Also, and this is gonna be good for the entire annex as well as our courtroom, but it's kind of pertaining more to our courtroom. It's gonna be our penal code for handguns, not carrying handguns inside the annex building, just because we also have, you know, the tax office, we have adult probation, we have juvenile probation, and also parole is in our building as well as our court. So these are gonna go on the outsides, just like they do here at the courthouse, which y'all put up. They're gonna go outside of each of the entrances, and I kind of talked to Carrie about this, that I was planning on doing this. Also, I wanted to put up a notice for people being subject to certain while they're in our building as well as out in the parking lot, and that's just gonna help liability in case we ever do have to search somebody. I wish Craig was in here that, you know, could kind of stand behind me on this, but it'll just kind of leave that to where, you know, we can't come back and get sued, the county can't come back and get sued. So that kind of gives us a little bit of liability protection. Also, the metal detector, and that's just a one, so that way if we do have anybody in the building that we think that might have a weapon on them, or whenever we do have court, so that way I can warn people as they're coming inside the court. So.
What's the total? Just thrown off by that.
The total for the stuff that I looked up off of Amazon was $749, and then for all the trauma.
202.
Sorry, I should have that. Was 2, so 7, 8, 9, about 950-ish. Moved it over, I'd say 960 to be on the safe side.
What do we have in
We
that?
only have 800 available for the annex of security. Out of that.
You say
So
about 950 total?
Yes, sir. I believe that I'd say 960 to be safe, because I can add it up real quick.
I think, just my opinion, that the kit, the trauma kit and the wand would qualify. Well, and maybe the signs would qualify for the court security, but the printer and that stuff, I would say no. Does not. We could find somewhere else to get that, like out of the judge's
Agree.
technology budget or something.
So from what I understand, and I mean, this is y'all's decision, but from what I understand, and I'll have to pull up the statute, it is going to be anything that has to do with her security. And I believe that that is to do with her security, because I can't be leaving the courtroom and she can't be leaving the courtroom.
Right.
And I did get with
Kind of a scratch for me.
Russell about finding a
Used one?
yes,
Uh-huh.
he's one in the county, but he said that he's not aware of any of them. That's in there. So
How many times do you have to use that?
the
Make
printer.
copies, yeah.
Oh, we use it. I would at least say 1 to 2 times every time we're in there, if not more. It just depends on what cases are there. But I mean, it's every time we go in the courtroom, we have to leave the courtroom for that.
Do you have that?
Let me.
How much is in that technology fund for JP2?
228 is the total.
Do you not have that?
Also, I have a question about that. So you said that there's only $800 in the
That was what
security fund for the annex.
budgeted for.
So, and I could be wrong, don't hold me to this, but I thought that it should be a rollover account that's available to any court according to statute.
It's there,
They-
but we budget an amount. So that, the money's in a big fund, but we only budget a certain amount to be spent every year.
And that's all that was budgeted for.
You said April.
And only, so out of the fees that are collected, only a portion of the fees go for the secondary court.
I attached
The
the
biggest
wrong one.
majority of it goes for courthouse security,
Right.
and then a portion of it goes to the justice court security. And so whenever we did, the expenditures, it's gonna be Fund 214 is the security. You just gotta
Oh.
scroll down a whole bunch.
Yeah, it goes past all the tens.
Yeah, it's just 14.
Past 10s,
But if you want to stop at 12 first, your answer for the technology is in 12.
yes.
12.
No, that keep,
Scroll over.
Because we budgeted, so to answer your question,
yeah, keep going.
Wait.
Because that's it's still a 10.
That's
your
the,
technology is
keep going.
102,000 in HJP.
wait, whoa. Stop right there.
Usually
You went
they,
too far.
they do 3,000 every year.
Up, that's 20.
15 for JP1 and 2,000 for 2. 500 for you. or for county clerk.
34, oh, you can. Keep going up. Up a little bit more. Up a little bit more.
Did you understand what they were saying about the rollover stuff?
I guess I didn't hear them.
Okay, so- The money is there. It's just, we're
What?
just.
What was that?
about- It's right
That's
after can
the
budget
security.
max if you want, but
So
they
if you
did.
scroll over. to the other
And so, they can see what's in the fund next
Go up
and
one
budget
page.
according.
Those are transfers. Here's
But you
that.
don't lose it, not like everything else where it all goes right back into the operating fund. That
840.
item stays. But we're not allowed to just make amendments just because.
Right.
So once it's obligated at 840, then that's where it's stuck unless there's an emergency. Even though
So
there's
there's
more
stuff
funds.
available for fund balance for like next year, if you wanted to put in requests for, we could see whatever's left in fund balance and then we would put that into the budget.
Okay,
But
So
for
it's
this
just-
current year, the only budget is
it's just budgeted through there.
But that would be enough to get the wand, the wound care kit and the sign.
So all the revenue every year that comes out of courthouse security goes back into the fund balance at the end of the year? That's not.
Yes, because it goes into a special revenue fund because it can only be used for certain things. It can't go into the
So
general.
special, okay, well, that's what I was making
Yeah.
sure, because I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I don't think that was right. I didn't know if we
Yeah.
could.
That's a
That had to
special.
stay together.
It does.
Okay,
Especially.
It goes into the Fund 14 fund balance, not general,
I got you.
not
I got
general fund balance.
Thank you.
Okay.
That makes sense. Do we know how much is in there? Like, where do we find that total? Like the-
I would have to.
That'd be on the. I mean, that doesn't happen now, so don't worry about it.
So I'll just read you a little portion of this statute. It says a fund designated by this subsection may be used only for the purposes of providing security personnel, services and items for the justice court located in a building that is not county courthouse. So it does, I interpreted it. If y'all want to read it and, see what y'all interpret on that, and I can wait on the printer. Or I can knock off one of these, because I got like two of each of these items of the supplies, which, is okay. I can do one and then allocate for it later, but the actual statute is Article 102.017. And that kind of breaks down everything, but I was under the understanding that just anything that was for the security of the courthouse that we were able to purchase. And that kind of goes
And
into
that's
just the
true,
discretionary.
but that fund is also controlled by commissioners.
Right,
So
yeah,
they
and
have to
that's,
decide whether.
I understand that.
Security or.
Okay, so you said that the stuff minus the printer is like 600 or 700, right?
The what?
Minus the printer, it's like 700.
Minus the printer, I think she could get those other things. I think the printer and the stand and all that could be taken out of the technology fund.
So you have in the technology fund there's 2,000 there.
So who's technology? fund?
JP2 has a
Well,
technology.
then
fund.
she
Right
would-
above it.
Yeah, Amanda could just come at us with, I need a printer in my courtroom.
That would be her.
Yeah.
That's all I was trying to
And that
figure
one
out.
is also controlled by the court.
I mean, they budget, well, we used to budget 3,000 a year. We sometimes spent it, sometimes we didn't. And on what we need. But it would definitely,
Wait, scroll over, looks like there's 3,650 available for the justice court and the technology.
So above it is
Breakdown.
so that's for all courts? Because above it's the revenue stuff and it's broken like into the different, like the JP, like the next page above it.
that's just an estimate.
So should we base it on that revenue one more?
Well, no, because we've
No, it's
already
based on what they
budgeted, we've
budgeted.
already budgeted 3,650 in that.
Yeah, okay.
For them,
That is split.
for them available to spend on technology.
And part of it goes to the county and district court, so that department there, and then part of it goes to the justice.
So I'd still be over $29.29 on that if we knocked off the, oh, wait, I take it back.
I think you'd be good.
I'd be right at about, I'd still be a little bit over, I mean, it'd be dollars. $2 if we knocked off the printer and all that. Well, so are the batteries and stuff, are we gonna include that with my wand? Real good with including that with the wand.
That sounds technological. So we can put it in there if we need.
I mean, if you need
It's
to,
just asking,
If
if
you-
it's $17.87, but it does go with the wand, I mean, that's for that purpose.
If the judge has no plans for technology, I'd try to max that out first. Because
talk to your judge.
technology is very specific, and then if you think of other things from security, but you've already maxed that out. So if we spend everything that can be technology, in my opinion, everything that can be technology, spend it from there. Because security sounds a little bit more specific. And obviously a lower amount, so I don't want to spend money in that amount fund that we could spend over here, and then it runs out. And then you think of a few more things that you could need to add, if that makes sense.
I mean, and technically,
Because a wand is kind of technological.
is that just annex? That's an annex security fund, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's the,
So the signs, because,
and the way that it actually reads is the building that holds the court, security for the building that holds the court.
right.
So the signs will go on, I don't know, just said that it'll go on to our entrance in front of the sheriff's office. The entrance that goes into the main building in front of JP Court. I'm gonna put them on the juvenile probation.
Side.
Still, yeah, public access. And then I'm getting an extra one for her back door because she does allow like the school staff to come in there during truancy courts. She allows them to come in and out, so we're gonna put magnets on the back and put them on there whenever we have court for that. That way, they know they can't bring that in. They know that they can be subject to search as well. It just because it turns into a public access. Whenever they're.
And I would assume you're okay with that, Gary, because that's your building.
Yeah, we talked.
So as a court, I mean, I think the signs on the trauma kit would be security. I think, would the wand be technology related? Would that be splitting hairs?
It's,
The wand.
I
I
don't,
think the wand would be security.
yeah. 'cause
yeah, I
you're-
think it'd
you're
fall more under
checking
security.
if somebody is
and
coming in
technology.
to cause harm,
Yeah.
whereas technology would be more of. I don't
And we could, I think
Yeah.
there's,
I mean, I don't think,
scroll up one page. There.
After I started
And
talking.
so,
So,
There's quite a bit in the courthouse security. like if you were to go over a couple of bucks, that we could just move that couple of bucks from that courthouse security, if you want to put the,
Now, I bought my kids at Christmas a Harry Potter wand we don't use anymore.
There you go.
You know, with-
Well, at least might be able to find
Probably get left.
sorcerers.
the kit wand and signs can come out of the courthouse security, and then the printer and
That
and stuff would be more technology.
which your judge would need to request that, but that would be good. Okay, anybody got any other discussion or do I hear a motion?
You remind me the items. So I move to approve the use of the security for the annex fund in the amount or to purchase
For the wound care,
the wound care kits,
the
the
metal detector
metal detector wand
and the signs.
and the signs.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Awesome. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Angelica.
Thank you.
All right, item 15 is to consider and or approve any ARP grant projects. Guess what? We don't have any this time.
So I didn't feel, when we award the bid, I haven't filled one out for that week. I don't know if we want to come back and visit that later, because I can't fill it out until we award it.
Right. We could remind them.
Just want.
Okay. All right. Item 16, consider and or approve the burn ban or rescind the burn ban.
Our current drought index, it's dropped to a 51.
51.
Whoa, that's crazy.
There's no number in front of that.
A lot of rain.
Two digits.
Whoa.
Just some rain totals around the county that we had received over the last week. Border is at 3.76 inches. Bridge at 2.6, and Estimate at 2.0. That's what we received at our Mesonet sites that are in those three communities. We did have some reports of some flash flooding, some low lying areas in some of the communities, but
Dixon Creek.
Dixon Creek is one of our big ones right now. We actually was on the phone with the weather service this weekend because the rain actually changes the topography of the landscape. It actually took the Dixon Creek that was about 15 to 20 feet wide and hardly ever any water in it, but and this actually changed it to about 80 to 100 feet in spots wide with complete flood.
A lot of water.
That's crazy.
Days.
We did have some issues. We were working with the emergency manager, working with Crutch Ranch and the 4-6 Ranch. They had several fences that were completely destroyed and washed away. A lot of them were stretch posts, so they were concreted 4 feet plus down, and they washed them completely out. So we had a lot of cattle that were roaming free, and we got a notification from them that see if we could post something that there might be cattle wandering onto the roadways and stuff. So they're working. They've been working for days trying to get those fences repaired and find all the cows and get them put up. But other than that, we don't get burn ban right now. So let's say no action.
51, that's hard to believe,
Right. I don't think I've ever heard it in 2 digits.
that low.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, item 17, consider and approve disposal of obsolete office equipment. We have 2 requests, one from Nancy Criswell at the library for a couple of magazine racks that they're not using anymore. And then from the sheriff's department, a Canon printer.
I move to approve the disposal of the obsolete office furniture or magazine racks and printer from the sheriff's department as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. I will just let y'all know on that too. Roxanne's got a huge list of chairs and desks and things that are being stored here in the courthouse that at some point we're going to need to figure out what we're going to do with those to get them out of here. They're just stuff that's been disposed of and it's just sitting there taking up space. All right, item 18, accept certificates of completion from elected or appointed officials.
Alicia Craig, auditor, completed 4 hours of educational training for county budgeting and also completed 14.5 hours of educational training from the 65th County Auditors Institute. Gary Alexander, Commissioner Precinct 1, completed 4 hours of educational training for county budgeting. Chris Prott, Commissioner Precinct 4, completed 4 hours of educational training for county budgeting. Dwight Kirksey, Commissioner Precinct 2, completed 10 hours of educational training from West Texas County Judges and Commissioners Association Conference.
Thank you. Number 19, consider and/or approve request for the use of the club rooms at the Border Library or Fritz.
I don't have any.
Don't have any.
Okay, thank you. 20, consider and/or approve line item changes, transfers, and/or budget amendments.
It's had several line item transfers and then from one line item to another, and then that ARP project that were approved the last.
Your motion?
I move to approve the line item changes, transfers, and budget amendments as presented.
And I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. If you all sign that. All right, item 21, consider and/or approve advertising, opening, accepting, or awarding bids. Have the bids from the library.
We received 3 sealed bids for the library roof and border. One came from Kelly Roofing for a total of $214,876. One came from LBK Roofing for $326,428.57. And one from Mesa Roofing for $401,770. And that is for a TPO membrane roof with the coping of the parapet walls. And I'll let Chris explain.
I was like, let me hear you. explain that, Sis. No?
So the significant problem with the library roof is that roof that was put on just in 2017, it was awful, and it's been awful the whole time. It holds water, it doesn't drain to the drainage, and it's not built like how it should. And so the significant prices in all of those, I know that's a huge price point, is the taper package that we have to do to get that sloped and towards all the drains. And so once that stuff is installed, this is warranted, each one of them is warranted for 20 years. And so after that 20, 30 years, when that's replaced, they don't have to redo any of that taper package. And so it'll be more in line with the typical just TPO replacement that is usual on a roof replacement. So that's the significant, and that's why I emailed the breakdown, just so you could see kind of the difference in price.
Do you have a recommendation or motion?
So I was just going to answer any questions first before I said, I don't know if you wanted to, kind of look at the project is all, but so.
One thing I noticed on that was that's about $17, nearly $18 a square foot. The courthouse run about 10.
Yeah, but y'all don't have to replace the whole complete package from the gypsum base all the way up.
Yeah.
But that's why I sent out that breakdown.
Okay. Suits me.
So I mean, the
A
taper,
lot of price difference, I can tell you that.
The courthouse roof we're going through TAC for that, right? Like they sent out the contractor for that.
Not exactly. I mean, they're pushing them and they're insuring if they want we're comfortable with, of course. If it goes bad, they gotta stand behind it, but they're really pushing what we're putting on the courthouse, and the courthouse is about done, and I'm pretty impressed with them. The jail were on hold because it's raining.
Right.
They did a pretty good job. And you talk about like the courthouse was the same way with the leveling when we did the foam roof year before last. And it was like lakes up there. And we leveled it with the foam. But, I don't know.
How much insurance have we got?
75,000.
Do what?
The insurance proceeds were 75.
So we take 75 off
So-
whatever the bid you go with.
Is that including recoverable depreciation or not?
Well, you had mentioned the 75,000 is what we got.
I don't know what it is. Right?
But the total you will get was how much? Of course, they'll give you a supplement for your bond also.
So why did we not go through that whole TAC process with this?
Because they wanted to do PVC, and most of the roofers around here and didn't want to do PVC. And a lot of the opinions, it's just not proven in the Panhandle yet because it's brittle. And I mean, the contractor that was here, I mean, I wasn't that impressed with the selling point of it being fireproof. That was the main thing when I asked him the difference. He said it was because it's fireproof. And if you have to worry about your roof being fireproof, which we have fire retardant requirements in this too. I mean, you have a bigger problem than the material on the roof.
No, I don't really think TAC would be in favor of this since they're the insurance carrier if it wasn't safe.
Do what?
TAC is pushing the PVC. I don't think they would be doing that if it wasn't safe.
Well, that's fine. I mean, PVC and TPO, they're pretty close in price.
They're
That's not-
both 20-year roof.
Yeah, and then that's not.
They're both insured for 20 years. Or warranted for 20 years, I should say. The only other thing about the PVC that got my attention when I was looking at the courthouse was they've been doing it for 8 years all over the state. For cities and counties about 2, cities for about 8. And they have not had their first claim yet on a roof damage. There's not been one single claim on the PVC roof in 8 years.
That'll give us a good thing since we're doing both different materials. It'll give us a good point to see what works good. And hopefully they both work ideally.
Yeah.
I think they're both very good roofs.
I do too.
What are you looking for?
I'm trying to find that report that I got in back.
So if we went through the TAC program, it'd be cheaper or?
No,
My only point is why don't we get a quote and see? And it may not be worthwhile. I don't know. It may not be a good deal. I don't know. But there,
How long did it take to get the courthouse one from TAC? Like, were they?
the quote we got pretty quick.
Mhm.
The contractor was,
Right,
but that's okay. I mean, they're so busy that they're putting these things on so fast, it's crazy. It may not be a good idea, but why not? But you've already got sealed bids, though.
Yep.
So you got a big problem there.
well, I don't have,
You
we
can-
talked about that.
Not
when we-
all of the bids, you can go to the co-op, which is what the other guy is through. And go with that, but you can't go back to your bids if he comes back more. Without going out for still bid again.
I kind of
Yeah, go, let me get this straight. We'd have to throw all these out and go do seal bid again to include another seal bid.
No, we
No.
go through the co-op.
You would not award any of these.
Right.
Go look at the co-op. If you were happy with the co-op, you could go with the co-op. If you were not happy with the co-op, then you would have to do the sealed bid.
Go out for
process
seal
again.
bids again.
But if you look at the co-op, you can't go back to the seal bid.
Not without rebidding it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right,
So
not
if you-
without
If you
rebidding.
go get a quote from the co-op now, that was my point. Then you
And
either have
these
to
are-
go with it or start from scratch. Right. If we've got a seal bid from them along with the others, then you'd have them all. But
Right, they could have. Yeah, they could have done a sealed bid,
well,
these guys.
I fall back on, since we as commissioners are in charge of our buildings. I mean, I know, as a team, we talk about the financing of that, but overall, we trust that. I literally don't think about the courthouse because you have it, because I trust whatever legwork you're doing on yours will be good, and the same with Chris on this. I mean, even though I may have done something different, I'm not over those buildings, so I trust you. I think y'all did whatever, so whatever you're doing, what you feel is best for your area. So which one of these sealed bids would you go with?
So to answer, I won't ignore you,
Okay.
but to answer,
I feel ignored.
the depreciation is 11,839.89. And the payment we got was 76,712.57. So that'll be about $88,000 on that.
So
So,
we can determine whatever bid
Okay.
you go with.
right. And so obviously I got the breakdown because that is fairly expensive. But the problems at the library are not the problems at your courthouse. I mean, we have the tapered roof that they put on in 2017, and you can disagree with that. I don't, it's all right. The deck, they've got to take that all the way down. I mean, if you want to walk it with me afterwards, you can today. But the inspector actually told me when we inspected this insurance, he was surprised the roof hadn't collapsed because it holds so much water with how much foam it absorbs.
Don't even say that. Don't even.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. So this price, when we have ARP funds and we spend it on just random things that don't really go to the infrastructures of our county. And then we have a problem with this, where this is going to be a 20 or 30-year roof. I want to do it the right way. So we're going to get all that foam off. They're going to put the taper package and then it's going to be done. And then in 20 to 30 years, when they have to replace this, it's only going to be the type of job they're doing now on the courthouse. So the price is going to be at least half of this. And so that's why I wanted to get the breakdown, because that taper package and building it up from the gypsum deck is needed. And they're gonna put metal flashing on the parapet walls where some of our engineer thinks that some of the rain damage with the water damage we're getting is coming in from the parapet access. They just tar it there, with the material. So they recommended that CPO covering that with the metal flashing on top of that too. And I think that in the long term is going to be a lot cheaper and an investment than in 10 years when the children's area of the wall falls, because there are currently cracks that we are monitoring there. And that's going to be a real issue. The Adobe professionals, before I was on court, told the library that the height of that wall should have been at least 36 inches thick with the height of, and they're 18 inches thick. And so it's not a question of when we're going to have to deal with this children's wall. It's going to be, or if it's going to be when. And that, I mean, there are cracks that Nancy can tell you. I mean, they monitor and we watch all the time to make sure there's dust falling into the windows. And so I think this is the right way to make an investment in that library and make sure that stands where it needs to be, and using ARP money while we can in a way that is due diligent with the taxpayer money. Kelly Roofing is the lowest significantly. They also have an architect on their staff that has joined, so he will be on site. He walked it, they cored that ceiling or that roof. And so having an architect on board with that gives a significant advantage of when they get there and kind of see what they need to do and designing this whole thing. The references that I called for them are great. The people I've talked to, I haven't had a problem with them and any of the people that I talked to. So my recommendation is going with Kelly Roof and allowing them to do the job. But I mean, if y'all as a court, I mean, we're court.
Is that a motion?
Is there any other, I mean, do we need to talk about anything else?
I don't care. I just made my point. That's all. Okay. I don't care what you do.
All right, so I moved to award the bid to Kelly Roofing in the amount of $214,876.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and second to award the bid to Kelly Roofing. Any further discussion? All in favor? Now, do we want to now go back up to item 15? Do you want to talk about, because we couldn't really have an ARP project for that until we awarded a bid.
Right, and I've got the form ready. I just couldn't fill it out with the vendor and the price and stuff, but
So will you all be all right with approving an ARP project for that prior to, so we can get moving,
and it'd be about 130, I have to do the math.
minus the 88,000?
130,000 out of the ARP.
Right.
130 to 140.
Thoughts?
So I'm trying to think, we're approving the releasing
expenditure of
the
ARP
expenditure
funds.
up to 135,000.
I'll just say the total that's not covered by insurance proceeds.
I can't do that. There has to be an amount. Just to say.
So we can figure it out.
yeah,
Okay,
we can figure it
so-
out. That would make me feel more confident.
No worries.
I know I'm splitting hairs, but
If we need to do it the right way, gotta do it the right
Yeah.
way.
I can't just
And we have
open check.
We have the application.
I will, yeah. I haven't filled it out with the vendors and stuff because the midst.
So what would be another 2-week thing for this? Or
It's about 130,000.
I mean, if we need to do that too, we can bring it back. I don't have a
yeah,
problem.
because I just don't want to change the policy we've already got set up, the structure and how we award ARP stuff. I don't want to look like we're bending rules, even though this was
Well, that's fine. If you want to do it that way, I'll do it that way.
yeah.
Okay, so you can submit an ARP project and we'll take it up at the next.
We can go ahead and start planning with them.
Yeah.
and I'll-
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay,
We're good.
And then, still on the, bids. We still have the, bid for the county attorney running in the paper for the sale of his office equipment.
right.
And then, Hannah with the extension agent office, she, will not have any luck looking in the co-ops for available trucks. I'll let you speak.
Yeah,
on
I
that.
haven't received any bids back, from any of the buy boards, tips or the co-op, and whenever I was looking on there, they didn't have any trucks.
No available trucks.
So we would like to open it up for some bids.
I'll do.
I think we talked about that last time, didn't we?
Yes.
Mhm.
And, yeah, so,
I move to go out for sealed bids in regards to a vehicle for the extension office.
You providing the specs for that?
Yes, we discussed getting a used truck, a four-wheel drive, 3/4 ton, crew cab.
Gas engine.
Gas engine, yes.
Is it wrong for any of the court, if like Ben or Chris to visit with her?
Well, I think you made your motion, so I think we did.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Do you want them to only bid used, or do you want to bid new and used?
That would be up to the first decision.
I want to say new and
I'd
used.
do both.
Because used ones are running just as much as new.
Yes, they are.
No, are they?
Okay, we have a motion to go out for bids.
Yes.
And did you second, Chris? Okay, and a second. Any further discussion on that? All in favor?
And Hannah, it's not required by us to make a motion for this, but if you want to reach out to Ben or Chris, just make sure it's just two.
Okay.
To kind of get their input, you can do that.
Okay.
Since they talked about it. Don't ask me, because I'd say, I don't know what trucks do. No, just
Okay.
No,
Will do.
on the
All right, item 22, consider and or approve donations to Hutchinson County. Anybody?
have a Harry Potter wand.
No,
Okay.
you can put that one with all that furniture we need to get rid of. All right, item 23, accept reports from elected or appointed officials.
April 2023 reports were submitted by Leslie Ford, Justice of the Peace Precinct 1. The Hutchinson County Child Welfare Board submitted financial report for April 2023. Dwayne Chisholm, Road Superintendent, submitted written report for dates May 8th, 2023 to May 21st, 2023. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 24, discussion of county judges and commissioners precinct daily operations. For Leisha, I think. Anything?
Still talking to the contractor and the engineer, on the ARP project. Supposed to get together weekly, I call them.
The courthouse roof's pretty much done, little trim work, but the jail, we're just leaving it. It's sealed, leaving it alone till the rains quit. So,
Well, that's a bad problem to have.
so there's no leaks through the last couple of rains, so let's just leave it alone. So start working on it, you have a leak.
True.
Speaking of leaks. What y'all want to hear? So,
I gotta go to the
Um,
bathroom.
yeah, don't say that.
Okay.
So at the museum, we started our tiling project. But with the rains we had, you remember when we put the gutters on that north side?
Yes.
With that heavy rain, there was still a little bit of water that came in on that side of the wall. So I'm gonna dig a trench on that side and just kind of see where it might be coming from. But it wasn't that much. And so me and Clay talked, and it was just one of those things of with the waterproofing project and us coming on to a need to get that flooring done with the insurance proceeds. It wasn't enough water to ruin that flooring again. So we decided to go ahead and still continue with that while we're trying just to find that, because I think if we can't find where it's coming from and it doesn't rain for another 6 months, enough for it to come through there. I mean, with the amount of rain that we got, over 2 inches each time, I mean, that it was maybe a half or to a gallon of water. So it wasn't that much to, I think, have to delay the flooring project. So unfortunately that happened, but hopefully it was just a one-time thing, but it wasn't from the waterproofing project.
Keep in mind, if those gutters get full, we'll back up and go in the building.
Yeah, but we have Jerry that looks, Moon that looks at that. Last time he looked at them, he said that
They were clear.
but with the amount of rain quick it came on Sunday.
Anything else?
We had the staff meeting that we talked about in the last one. I think it went pretty good. I think there's still some confusion and some stuff that we're working on, tweaking. Some things came to light, so I'll work on that. But I'm looking forward. I think all the department heads seem to understand and look forward to their presentations. And also, we've kicked it around, and I just want to go on record as we talked about it. I know that there's been several emails in the last 2 years regarding if you're going to run for office, some of the, we're going to visit, I guess, at budget time, setting some base rates for newly elected positions, not grandfathering. We're grandfathering the people who are already here, but if you're going to run for office, the reason why I needed to go on record is so that people know we've been talking about this. before.
What are you talking about?
It's salary base, setting a
Yeah.
salary base. We had talked, had some discussion about that.
Instead of a newly elected official coming in like the old one left that, they are starting at a new base.
At a salary
beginning
base.
That's what
salary.
all counties do. I
There's no
talked
way
to
we
many
continue
people.
Sustaining for everybody getting paid what the last guy.
I thought we'd already done that.
No, we haven't.
We haven't.
We've done it with some like department heads as they.
Yeah,
come
we've done
in,
department
Like with
heads.
the library and the airport where we're starting to
Yeah.
integrate that into,
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
we have to have like I mean, we haven't presented the elected official stuff.
Right.
But I know that time's coming near and I didn't want anyone to think that, because we've been talking about this for 2 years. that
Mhm.
This is,
And if we're gonna move forward with it, we gotta get it done before November.
yes, it needs to be done and it's very important because if not addressed, in about 5 years, we'll be paying way too much and we can't maintain it. We'll have to start cutting cutting services just to pay salaries. So,
Something to
anyway,
think about.
Something to think about.
Okay, so y'all know last time that Kathy and Stacy were here in regards to our insurance renewals, and we know those are going up. So they should have that package out to us, the renewal package, by this week, I think, maybe tomorrow or Wednesday. We're gonna have to start talking about that and how we want to budget for that. So I'm just giving y'all the heads up. We may need a special meeting. Hopefully not, but maybe we can. But we've got to have that in before, what was the date? June the 28th or something like that? That we have to make a decision before then. So that basically, we don't have a meeting in June until the 12th, I think. And so we've only got a couple of meetings, and that second meeting's cutting it kind of close for Amy and Kim to get that information in. So
And I wanted to ask legally, we're still allowed to come on Zoom if we're out of town, right?
yes,
Legally?
Yes.
I didn't know if the laws had changed or anything.
I don't think so.
So June
28th.
12th, I will
28th.
be Zooming in on our meeting.
Okay. All right, that's the only thing I had. Anything else? Okay, item 25 is to consider and or approve struck off tax properties. Okay, we have a lot.
Mine are easy though. If you want to, you don't have to read them out.
Okay,
No, only I get mine in my precinct, right? So y'all can get those. Okay.
Mm-mm.
okay, I think some of them are Ben's, right?
I didn't get it.
Oh, you didn't? So they
No.
must all be,
They're all.
well, the address is Stinnett, but there are those Rita Del Plano.
Plano would.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't, no one sent me anything.
Okay, so then they all must be out there in the Bugby area, right?
Yes.
Okay.
They're all the same owner, or the same
Bidder? Okay.
And so I would like,
So the bidder in these, let me just give a little bit of background information, is Gerald Lee Smith from Sanford. And most of these, the properties were struck off anywhere from 86 to 2003. Is what I see. And appraised at, so he's offering $250 a lot
yeah, and
for every lot. And there's
12.
12 lots. And it's all
Undeveloped, all of it.
undeveloped
Yes, all of it,
properties
pretty much the same. Yeah.
like that.
And he, I mean, it's not relevant.
Did you have anything else to add? If there's another one. So are you all good with making one motion for all, or do you want to hear them individually?
No, all just in one.
Okay,
I move to approve or award the bids as presented by Gerald Smith.
Second.
motion and second. Any further discussion on these 12 lots? All in favor? Okay. And that is all I have.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn then.
No,
Okay, got it.
okay, we have a motion to adjourn, and a second, all in favor? Okay, meeting adjourned.